Okay, we're going to go through the Z-score question. A news report claimed that sixth-year students in Ireland studied an average of 21 hours per week outside of class time. A Leaving Cert class surveyed 60 students. In sixth year, chosen at random from different schools, it found that the average study time was 19.8 hours and the standard deviation was 5.2. So when we go through this, right, there's going to be certain things which are going to be important. And I would always advise students to highlight these bits because it just makes it easier to pick it back out as you're looking at it again. So what we're saying here is that, okay, we have the kind of national data which says 21 hours per week, right? You know, it's a news report, we're not sure what it's based on, but that's the national data. We have a sample of 60 students which says we have an average from those 60 of 19.8 hours, so that's X bar, okay, because that's the mean of my sample, and my standard deviation is 5.2 hours. Now, obviously what our survey is kind of indicating to us is that it looks like, based on these 60 students, that the average is 19.8. Well, that part is right, but maybe that's implying that the average has changed and has reduced from the time of this survey, or maybe the report was originally wrong or something like that. But we must now test that. So we're going to get this test statistic. So we're going to use the formula which is on the top of page 35, which is this guy here. Now, the reason we have the root n is because it's a sample. So the formula, the standardizing formula on page 34 does not have root n because you're not dealing with a sample for that one. Here we are. So again, our numbers, it takes sometimes people a while to get used to all this, but the sample size is 60. The sample mean is 19.8. The population mean is the 21 hours from the original news report, and the standard deviation is 5.2. We fill it all in, and we get an answer of minus 1.78753. Now, we would know straight away that that value is here somewhere, minus 1.79, say, and it hasn't reached the critical value of minus 1.96, so you're not in the critical region. So we're not over here in the critical region. So we know even at this point we're going to fail to reject a null hypothesis, and the null hypothesis being that the average time spent is still 21 hours. However, we'll go through the procedure. The p-value. We want to find the p-value for this test statistic, comment on what can be concluded from its value in a two-tailed hypothesis test at the 5% level of significance in relation to the news report. Now, that paragraph is a bit complicated in the language, but it really simplifies down to find the p-value and in relation to the news report. So if you don't know what to do, you do what you know. Let's find the p-value. So what we're doing here is, instead of comparing the minus 1.79 with the minus 1.96, what we do is we compare and we find the area to the left of minus 1.79, to the right of plus 1.79, and we add those two areas in red together and we compare it with 5%. So the probability of having a z-score to the left of minus 1.79 or to the right of plus 1.79 is the same as twice the probability of having a z-score to the right of 1.79 because the curve is symmetric. Okay? We know we can't look up the probability of having a z-score to the right of 1.79, so instead we get the probability of having a z-score to the left of 1.79. So we're going to get all this region. We take that away from 1, and then that gives us the probability of having the z-score to the right of 1.79. So that's what we can look up in the table book on page 37. 1.79 is going to be here, 0.9633. So we take that away from 0 point, and what we'll be getting when we do that calculation, it's 0.367. 0.367. You double that and you get 0.0734. Because of the fact that what we're saying is there's 2.5% of the values are to the right of 1.96, and there's 2.5% of the values to the left of minus 1.96. Together that adds up to 5%. But because of the fact that 7.3% is greater than 5%, our result is not significant. We failed to reject the null hypothesis, so we failed to reject the claim. So in the context of the question, we would say that, like, you know, the implication here is that, you know, students on average are still studying the 21 hours per week, and that would be your conclusion. So I hope that makes sense.